Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome. I'm just finishing getting ready for the day, and I had a massive epiphany, and I kind of wanted to share it with you all here because I think so many of us are going through major transitions. And human design and astrology, of course, has been pointing that in our direction. But I personally have had a big breakthrough, and I know some of you who are actually on this channel with me might appreciate hearing the insights of somebody who is learning that she's a channel. Okay, so today, yes, over the weekend, listen, I teach, I can't do two things at once. Why am I trying to get ready? Okay, I teach women how to trust their intuition and lead with it, with the blending of, your analytical mind, right? And so part of the journey for me has been really starting to dive more into this a concept that I am a channel myself. That's been a scary thing. My Chiron is in Aries. And if you know astrology, you know that we've had quite a few major planets come in. Neptune and Saturn come into the sign of Aries. And it actually is hitting me directly, like when you talk about orbs. Orbs of influence. It's hitting me directly. And then on top of it, Chiron itself is transiting through Aries. So it's kind of like a triple whammy that's been going on. But over this weekend, I had this voice in my head saying, "You're missing out on some opportunities." I don't like to miss out on opportunities. Let me just tell you that. And Mercury just went stationary direct. Jupiter's finally moving forward again. And if you were to look at my chart, you would see that, this is hitting my first house and my 10th house. All of this stuff is. My Chiron wound has always been sharing my opinions on things for fear of upsetting other people, basically. And channeling has been one of those things that I have kept fairly quiet. I've kept it very contained. And in November, I really started to come out and saying, okay, I am a channel. And then I started putting it up onto my website to keep it safe and protected, right? In my peripheral world, I've been working with quite a few women and former mentors who they themselves, their business is really expanding and growing. And so they've had to deal with, losing people in their lives or not getting great reviews or having people doubt you. And that has churned up a lot of my Chiron. Chiron is that wound that we can really create, I think, some karma behind it just in itself, because if you don't understand what your Chiron is here to teach you, that you have to grow through. You're growing through your Chironic energies, and it being in Aries and then having a lot of energy steeped into it would be like facing your biggest fear, Michelle, which is to stand out, to be seen, and in ways and not being able to control what people think of me. And I think that's the truth of it. Like I've created a lot of systems to keep myself safe from that. And over the weekend, when I heard I'm missing out on opportunities, that meant I needed to go look at my astrology transits and the human design transits. And my mind was kind of boggled because I'd simply forgotten my Chiron. I've been so focused. My Pluto has been, transiting Pluto has been hitting two of my major planets. And so for the last couple of years, I've just been going through a lot of growth. I'm a Scorpio. I am about transformation, but there's some years that they're really, really intense. And so I've been doing a healing journey, and part of my healing journey has been to hear what my intuition has been saying and telling me. And when it kept saying that, I thought it was my ego. And again, from somebody who teaches this, I'm always still growing and learning myself. And if a teacher isn't learning and growing themselves, they're not a good teacher. You need to be with somebody who's going to be vulnerable enough to show you their weaknesses, right? And my weakness has always been, if I can't substantiate where I get information, how can it be true? And for those of you that you may totally identify with that. And if you do, that's cool. That's great. This information probably isn't going to work for you. Um, but as I keep growing through my own chironic moments and stop looking at the what staying hidden has done for me, which has kept me, quote, safe. And safety really is just other people's opinions. I'm also a four line in human design. Whew, I'm just sharing all kinds of stuff with you guys today. And the four line really, it will hide. It doesn't want to be seen for its vulnerability because community is everything for four lines. And And I have a lot of two lines in me too, which means I do like to be hidden and protected and safely tucked away. And when the calling comes, I need to come out. And the calling came through your intuition. And this is what I mean about intuition. It's not an easy, it's 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 easy to understand when you get intuitive hits, right? Because a lot of people think that intuition means it's just going to guide you in the quickest way possible to what your purpose is. And there is some truth to that. But um, there's also truth in knowing that it's going to challenge you. It knows you better than you know yourself because intuition is the voice of your soul, and your soul is connected to all things. And so, therefore, when we start to rectify the difference between ego and intuition, intuition is going to push you forward, not in a mean way, but it also isn't going to keep you complacent. And because Mercury just went direct, which is our communication line, and what house that activated for me, like knowing all of that, I can see things for myself personally and sharing not only what comes through channeling, because my channeling doesn't look like what a lot of people do. A lot of it's just like me with my eyes open, just like I am now. I'm a very much a conscious channel. I don't think there's any other way I can be. I've thought about trying to learn about trans channeling and yeah, I don't think I could do it. I'm too fixed. I'm too, like, I need to be in control in some aspects of my life. And so, conscious channeling really is my jam. And so sometimes my eyes are closed because I need to filter in and get a little bit more inclusive. And sometimes my eyes are open because it's just coming through pretty rapidly. So I share all this because I think a lot of us are in this transitional period, just consciously on the planet of growth and expansion and seeing beyond the illusions that we have all been living in and performing in. And I think that a lot of people talk about karma and shadow work, very important stuff. But I do believe some of that is stemmed in your Chiron. A lot of astrologers that I've studied with don't talk a lot about Chiron. So I've had to really do a deep dive. Um, and I have for years. I was lucky enough to work with a woman by the name of Rebecca. We had started writing a book when it came to Chiron in regards to human design and astrology. And it's an overwhelming book and it is not near completion. And I don't know if it'll ever come out. But so we worked with quite a few clients, many clients on this idea of like looking at what your Chiron is and how it is still working in your life because you need to become more kumbaya with it. You need to recognize when Chiron is really making its feelings and its emotions rise up because sometimes we think that that's like, when people say, well, this always happens to me. Well, in some aspects, it could be your Chiron coming forward to say you need to kind of heal this part of yourself. And when I mean heal yourself, it means in that moment, work your way through the Chironic moment. And that's what I call them as Chironic moments because they happen all the time. You just don't realize it. But if you start to be cognizant of it, holy cow, um, it's almost like you become like your cape. You put on your cape and you're fearless and you walk through it, even though it feels very scary. And to the outside world, your Chironic moments may not feel scary, but your internal world, you feel like you're dying inside in some aspects for it all. So I kind of had this huge epiphany today. And I think epiphanies, oh, well, there you go. You guys get some. I always forget that thing is on. Um, you guys are getting an epiphany that I have had as a person who supports women through really learning about themselves in deep ways, not just like getting a reading and like, yay, I'm done. It's more of, oh, I forgot this aspect of myself because we're all so busy. And because we're in the age of Aquarius and we're all learning to show up as authentically as we can, means for a lot of us working through a lot of our fears. So maybe you're that person going through all that. And if you are, please comment below and be on the lookout. I will be putting up the channelings from the 13 Pillars of Light, which are a feminine based, currently they're more feminine based entities that are here to help the feminine aspect of all of ourselves feel seen and heard. And they're really here talking, currently they've really been talking about the human suit, our how we're growing and expanding and what it's going to be like and what are the illusions we're breaking through and how can we help ourselves. And all of it always stems from doing the inner work first, because then the outer work just appears. But while you're churning in the inner work, sometimes we have to stay in that for a moment. And there's moments of pause. And I do believe that astrology does show us when there's times of pause. And we're starting to step out of that pause as Uranus is getting ready to step into Gemini now, which means all of the outer planets and a few personal planets have all shifted into new signs, but the outer planets take a long time. And as if they have shifted, it means that there's like this new beginning. And I think what's happening for all of us is that you're going to have a new beginning and then you're going to have to filter through it. And sometimes it's going to be through your Chironic moment. So, whatever your Chiron is, and there's so many beautiful, juicy ways that you can work, that you can understand your Chiron. One would be, of course, where is your Chiron? And it is a K with a little circle at the bottom. That's what it looks like in your astrology. If you go onto my site, you can grab an astrology chart and it shows where your Chiron is. So you need to look at what sign it's in. You need to look at what house it's in. And then in human design, you need to look at what gates it's in. And I always find that the unconscious Chiron is the one that most people really don't see as much. They don't identify it right away because it is the unconscious side, especially if you're younger. But I think for all of you that are younger, like, listen, you guys have got this infinite array of information at your fingertips. But if you don't understand the things that you're good at, the things that you're going to bump into, and then your Chiron, which is going to be weaving. I've also found that working with Chiron with people, including myself, a lot of the times it's attached to your life purpose, which means you have to work through it anyways to get to that life purpose, to feel like you have done it. Listen, I've just popped through another layer of it. And there's going to be another layer that comes and another layer. So it's not exhaustive. It's like such a learning tool. And that's what we came here to do. Part of our journey here in our human suit is to learn who we are and to have this beautiful exploration of it. But God, being in the middle of it, and I get it because I just popped through another one, like it can be challenging. But if you use your tools and if you understand what the challenge is about, what it's challenging you to do, because that's what intuition does. It challenges you to keep moving forward, to keep growing, to take those gifts and go to the outer banks with it. Like go further than what you have ever anticipated. Your intuition is going to guide you to that, and it's going to tip you into areas that maybe you're fearful of doing. And you could say, oh shit, that's my Chiron. That's all I have to do. I just need to be cognizant of that and pull in my tools or have a support network or have a mentor that can help me work through all of that stuff. Anyways, I'm going on and on and on. But I just want to say welcome. Welcome to the Intuitive Insights here with me. And I hope that between the channelings, the conversation, and maybe, having talks with other people might help you all in this space. But more than not, like, comment below. Tell me where you're at. That's what's going to guide me into what I share, and what you want to be channeled, if they're willing to, like, take questions from you all. So, anyways, many blessings. Thanks for letting me share. Have a beautiful day. And as always, follow your passion and your purpose because that's what you're here to do, my friends.